Shalom everyone and welcome to Busisewe, Baruch in Hebrew, which means exalted or honored. My name is Abigail. We continue with the teaching on the series entitled To Obey is Better Than Offering. And today we'll be looking specifically at how this term obedience is better than sacrifice. How did it come about? And we find it in the book of Shaul or Samuel chapter 15 verse 11. And to this extent we learn in this particular incident that had to do with Shaul's disobedience, the king of Israel, how YAHUAH is so serious about obedience. He wants all or nothing. We talk about this in corporate when we say that compliance means 100%. There is 100% compliance. You can never say I've complied 80% or 20 or 70% compliance or 50% compliance. Compliance, it's either 100% or 0%. Same then with obedience. You either obey fully or you don't obey. There is no such thing with YAHUAH, which is partial obedience. That's why he says in his word that I would rather have you either hot or cold, but not lukewarm. For if you are lukewarm, he says, I will spit you out of my mouth, as we read it in the book of Revelation. So as we learning, because what has been written in the word is some of the things that we can learn from those that lived before us. We don't have to have our fingers burned yet again. The scriptures, the word of YAHUAH is written down that we may be able to learn. So it is for this reason that we not only live by what we hear only from what he speaks to us, but also what he has said before us. Even as we've seen, oftentimes I use the term, I quote from the book of Ecclesiastes that says, what has been is what shall be, nothing new under the sun. We then read today from the book of Shaul, otherwise known as Samuel, chapter 15. Let's start from verse 1 to verse 3, and it reads, And Shaul said to Shaul, Shaul, this is otherwise known as Samuel, who was a prophet. He said, YAHUAH sent me to anoint you king over his people. Let us pause there. Shaul was appointed, Shaul was anointed by YAHUAH to be a king over whose people? Over YAHUAH's people, which means that you have been entrusted as a steward for that which belongs to someone else, to that which belongs to YAHUAH. So we should not forget this part, that it is his people after all. He has entrusted us to lead his people, just as he entrusted Shaul to lead his people. At no point in time should we forget that aspect, that these are his people. These are not our people. This is not our inheritance. It's not our thing. It's his thing. It's his people. So that which is not yours, you have to handle with care, knowing that you have just been entrusted as a steward that needs to account afterwards. How faithful were you with that which was entrusted to you? He says in his word, the earth is his, and the fullness thereof, the world and those who live in it. So we also learn from this part that when we lead, it doesn't it's the statement of stewardship is not only limited to, in this particular case of Shaul, the people of Israel, but everything that we have and been entrusted to oversee to have dominion over, to control, to rule over, to supervise, to govern, to lead, that has been entrusted to us. It is not ours. Everything belongs to Yahuwah. For he says it in his word that the earth is his and the fullness thereof, the world and those who live in it. So this even speaks to how you treat with respect even the worst sinners. You don't speak anyhow with them because they are not sinners, they are heathens, and you just disrespect them. No. At the end of the day, who created them? You didn't. They have someone who owns them. There's someone that created them out of love. He created them in his image, in his likeness. And as such, he loves everyone. That's why he says, we read this in the book of YAHUAH, chapter 3, verse 16, where it says that, for Yahuwah so loved the world, not only Yeshurun, not only the obedient ones, no, he loved the whole world. For the earth is his, and the fullness thereof, the world and those who live in it. They are his. So he loved them so much that he sent his only begotten Son, YAHUAH HaMashiach, or YAHUAH the Messiah, that whosoever believes in him should not perish, but should have everlasting life. Also, YAHUAH himself so loved the world that he laid down his life for us. He could have said no, but he loved us so much that he loved the world so much that he laid down his life for us. That's why the word even says, what manner of love is this, that an innocent one will die for the sinners? It's one kind of love where you lay down your life for those who love you, those who honor you, those who respect you. But it's another kind of love, the Yahuwah kind of love, that you then love those who hate you, those who mock you, those who ill-treat you, those who backstab you, those who insult you, those who ultimately kill you. Yet you still love them. Even at the point of laying down your life, you utter such words which YAHUAH HaMashiach uttered, which said, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. Stephen, he had gotten to grow in the love of Yahuwah, to grow in the love of YAHUAH, that he also uttered the same words when he was stoned to death, when he said also, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Do not lay this sin that they're doing against them. That is the love that Yahuwah has for the whole world. And that is how we are to treat everyone created in his image, in his likeness. Not only the people, but also to be steward over his creation, the animals, the water, pollution, everything that is within. This earth is not ours, so we can't abuse it and destroy it. We are ultimately having to account to that which we did here on earth. So this is the very important part that we are learning here, that Yahuwah sent Shamal or Samuel to anoint Shaul, otherwise known as Saul, to be king over Yahuwah's people. And it says over Yisrael, and now listen to the voice of the words of Yahuwah. So Shamal is telling Shaul, listen, Shaul, you must listen to the voice of the words of Yahuwah. What does this mean? There is a condition in you, Shaul, leading the people of Yahuwah. There is a condition for you to continue with the stewardship that has been entrusted to you. That condition is that you have to listen to the voice of the words of the owner of that which has been entrusted to you. The condition to govern his people is that you obey his instructions, you obey his word, you obey his voice. And at any point in time that you then do not obey, at any point in time that you do not listen to his voice of the words of the one who has entrusted you with this responsibility, he has a right to immediately retract whatever it is that he had entrusted to you. He has a right to withdraw whatever it is that he had given you to do. And this is what we learn, and that's what we're going to learn from Shaul, to see that to what extent that the obedience aspect to the one who has called us, who has entrusted us with whatever it is that he has entrusted over us. Verse 2, it says, "Thus said Yahuwah of armies, I shall punish Amalek for what he did to Yisrael, how he set himself against him on the way when he came up from Mitzrayim. Now go, and you shall smite Amalek and put under the ban all that he has, and you shall not spare them, and put to death from man to usher, or from man to woman, from infant to nursing child, from ox to sheep, from camel to donkey." This is the instruction that Shaul was given. He was given a specific instruction, a specific command, that he had to smite the Amalek and not spare anything, to put to death from man to woman, infant to nursing child, ox to sheep, from camel to donkey. Now here's the thing that I want us to learn from here, or that Yahuwah revealed to me as I was going through this. Who created the people? Who created the animals? How come do we come across as loving the people, his creation, more than him? Like, he is the one that should love the people more than us, because after all, he is the one that created them. He is the one that should love, or loves, the animals more than us. After all, it's his creation. Hence, I started by YAHUAH 3:16, that he so loved the whole world that he gave his only begotten son. Somehow, in our small minds, as the created beings, as the creatures, somehow in our small minds as clay, we tend to question the potter. As the creation, that which is created, we tend to question the creator. Oh no, but it is not fair. Why should the children be killed? The children are innocent. They have nothing to do with how the Amalek did not, what the Amalek did against Yisrael when they're coming out of Mitzrayim. They were not even born. Why should they be killed? Why should the animals be killed? We want to reason everything. It's like a manufactured item reasoning with the manufacturer. Where have you ever heard such thing? But unfortunately, we as human beings, constantly we do that. We fail to firstly appreciate that, one, he knows better than us. Two, he is the creator. He does not owe us any explanation. And three, he has our interest at heart. He has the world's interest at heart, for it is his after all. But we tend to come to that point of reasoning and saying, no, but why should I do this? Listen, if he says do something, do it. Now, the other thing that we also learn in this part is that you cannot cram Yahuwah. You cannot cram that this is how he operates. It doesn't mean that if he said something the previous time, that in the future you must also do it. He might have said something yesterday, but I need to inquire today, what is he saying? It doesn't mean that whatever he said yesterday, it is forever. Why? Because he's alive. He's not static. He is alive. He's not a robot. He's not a statue. And that's why we see from King Dawood, otherwise known as David, constantly he would inquire of Yahuwah, should I pursue or not? Sometimes Yahuwah would say, yes, pursue. Sometimes he will say, no, do not pursue. So Dawood cannot work under assumption that because previously Yahuwah said pursue, therefore all the time we should pursue. I need to know what is he saying now. And also the other lesson that is, whatever he said to someone else, it doesn't mean that it applies to me. Constantly I make this example of saying, or a statement, right, which is from the word. To him who knows what is good and does not do it, to him it is sin. It might not be sin to someone else, but if I know what I'm supposed to be doing and I'm not doing it, to me then it is sin. So Yahuwah deals with every particular matter person to person. He deals with every particular matter at a particular time. That's why we learn also from the book of Hebrews. The book of Hebrews, it tells us that today, when you hear his voice, do not harden your heart as your fathers did in the wilderness. Today. It's for this reason that Yisrael had to collect the fresh bread every single day. If they were to try, which they did, to not consume the portion that was allocated of manna for that particular day, if they tried to keep it, either out of laziness, that they didn't want to go out and grab the fresh manna outside, or just out of rebellion, that they were just testing Yahuwah, which is actually was the case. Everything that they did, they were testing Yahuwah. He tells them, go get the fresh manna, go get manna every single day. And then they decide, well, what's going to happen if I don't? What's going to happen if I keep the one that I have today? And guess what happened? It rot. It had worms. And Yahuwah was angry at them. Angry that why are you so stiff-necked? Why every time you test my words, what's going to happen if I don't do this? And we do this in our times. Yahuwah says something, you question him every single time. What if I don't do it? What if I do it differently? It was only on the 6th day that they had to had twice portion, which was for that day, the 6th day, and the following day, the 7th day. That was the only time that the manna wouldn't rot, wouldn't spoil. So it's very important that we live off the word, fresh word from Yahuwah daily. Yes, it's good to go through the written word, which we must every single time. The written word, I'm referring to what it's also termed as logos. That's the written word. That's good. We need to go through it daily, which is why at this particular point in time we are referring to the book of Shaul or Samuel. That's a written word. That's logos. But from the written word comes forth the rhema, comes forth the word that is applicable to us at the particular time, the word that is fresh for that particular situation, for that particular day. You start from the logos, you start from the written word with the expectation and opening yourself up to saying, Yahuwah, I want to hear you. What are you saying to me now? Yes, you said that to Shaul. Yes, you said that to Shamal. Yes, you said that to so and so, to David. What are you saying to me now regarding what am I reading? So even to the very same person, by the way, not only what the example that I'm referring to of Dawood, even to Shaul, the person that this scripture, this chapter is about, that previously Yahuwah had allowed him to keep the spoils, to keep the booty from conquering other nations like the Philistines, as an example. But Yahuwah was specific with regard to the Amalek, that do not keep the spoil, do not keep the booty or the booty, just kill everything. So that is what is important with Yahuwah, that at any point in time, we need to always remember that He knows better than us. It might not make sense, and most of the time, it will not make sense to your mind. It shouldn't, but you need to walk with trusting that the one who has instructed me to do a particular thing, He knows the end from the beginning. Now let's continue with verse 9 to verse 11, same chapter 15. It says, But Shaul and the people spared Agag and the best of the sheep and the cattle and the fatlings and the lambs and all that was good, and would not put them under the ban, but all goods despised and worthless that they put under the ban. So what happened? Shaul disobeyed. He put under the ban that which was despised and worthless, but he kept that which was best. He kept the best sheep, he kept the best cattle, he kept the fatlings, he kept the fatlings and the lambs. He also spared the king of Amalek, Agag himself. Verse 10. And the word of Yahuwah came to Shaul or Samuel, saying, I am grieved. I am grieved that I've set up Shaul as king, for he has turned back from following me and has not performed my words. Yahuwah takes disobedience seriously. He used the strong term grieved. He is grieved that he set up Shaul as king. Why? Because Shaul has turned back from following him. He has turned back from performing Yahuwah's words. Where else have we had the term where Yahuwah was grieved? And what did he do when he was grieved? When we find this in the book of Parashith chapter 6 verse 6, or otherwise known as Genesis chapter 6 verse 6. And what happened there is men decided to disobey Yahuwah. They were rebellious. These were the times of Noah. These same disobedience that Yahuwah uttered such words that that he was grieved that he had created man. The very same creation that is only mentioned in the history of creation, in the narration of the creation, that this particular species, mankind, he created them in his image, in his likeness, in his essence. And he was happy when he did that, delighted in us. But now he's no longer using the word that he's delighted. He used the term grieved. And him being grieved with us, even in the case of Noah, it led to him destroying the very same creation that he made. It's an example where a potter and pulls up a clay and some kind of work, some art, and then this thing is not displaying the pleasure that the potter wanted to get from this art. The artist just destroyed that clay, put it asunder, that clay. If that which Yahuwah has created is not operating the way he wanted it to operate, meaning to trust him, to hear him, he destroys it. After all, it's his creation. He's within his right to do so. Where else did we hear the term of not grieving the Ruach of Yahuwah? Shaul, otherwise known as Paul, he admonishes us in the book of Ephesians chapter 4 verse 30, saying, do not grieve the Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuwah, by whom you were sealed for the yom of redemption. So we are not supposed to grieve Yahuwah. Verse 35, it tells us also as we close this part of Samuel chapter 15 verse 35, it says, and Yahuwah was grieved that he had made Shaul to reign over Israel. He was grieved. Why? Because man decided to do that which Yahuwah had warned him not to do, but he did it. So Yahuwah takes disobedience very serious. And the part where we're going to end in the lesson for today is Yahuwah wants all or nothing. There is no such thing as partial obedience. So let us let us not grieve the one who created us. Let us continue to walk in obedience, knowing that to obey is better than the offering. I mean, if you think about it, Shaul wanted to keep this best cattle and lamb and everything for Yahuwah, the very same person that said he must destroy it. We will stop there and then we will continue in the next teaching where we see the importance of obeying Yahuwah. Shalom.